Hello, Steve Stuffloto here from Erie Community College near Buffalo, New York. And this is a continuation video talking about newspaper advertising, specifically ads that print in a newspaper. So again, most of these examples are from the New York Times, which is printed right here in Buffalo, New York at the Buffalo News. As we mentioned previously, the New York Times doesn't print in New York and ship all across the country. They print at 26 different plants across the country and ship more locally and regionally. Okay, so one of the ads that we print for is Tiffany's. And Tiffany's is a very famous store in New York City where they sell famous jewelry. And they have a brand or corporate logo color, and it's very important that that color is reproduced accurately. As a matter of fact, they have this color trademarked, and they had Pantone assign them a special Pantone color, which is private and unlisted. You won't find it in the Pantone book. The closest possible match I think I can find is Pantone 3262. Now, of course, you have a C version for coded, and you have a U version for uncoded. So as I tilt these, you should see the gloss difference. Realize that the formulation, the recipe, the mixture is identical. It's 37% green, 12.5% processed blue, and 50% transparent white. That's true for both the coded and the uncoded, yet the color looks different because of the paper they printed on, right? Gloss versus not gloss. So I think we can identify the C-Lab values for this Pantone color. Not for 3262, but for Tiffany blue. And I believe the color is L star 68.4, B star negative 39.10, so that means it's on the green axis, and B star minus 8.6, which means it's on the blue axis. So a greenish blue, bluish green would be towards the cyan, but more on the green side. So let's see if that's an accurate C-Lab target aim specification for Tiffany blue. So all we have to do here is measure the Pantone book. Let me see if I can get a little closer here. If I measure the 3262C, I get a delta E using the 1994 formula of 6.5, which means it's not a close match. The delta L is negative, so it means it's slightly darker. The delta A is minus 17. That's a very large difference. That means it's way too green. And the delta B is minus 3-ish, so that's slightly on the blue side. But the biggest problem is it's way too clean. That means if I went to LCH, it would be very, very clean. All right. Now, if the delta E on coded was 6.47, what's the delta E for uncoded paper? And here it's much better, 2.8. And again, the L star is close, less than 1. The delta L star is close, less than 1. The delta B is close, less than 0.1. But the main contributor here is the L star delta is minus 7, which is still way too green. Okay, so that was a 2.8. Oh, and by the way, if you wanted to make this color out of a process build, calling it out, it would be no magenta, no black, mostly cyan, some yellow. So about 73% cyan and about 35% yellow would make that screen tint, right? By the way, if I didn't mention it yet, the Tiffany color Pantone 1837 is the same year that Tiffany was founded and established. That's why they use that number, right? Okay, so let's take a look at how well Sunday, May 31st of 2015, how close did this color come to the 3262? Now again, I don't know if this is an exact close match to Tiffany, but we can see it's very different. If we put a delta E number on here, the delta E number is a 9. It's much, the A star, delta A star here is on the plus side, which means it's way too yellow. Excuse me, not too yellow, it's way too red. Or another way of saying that oppositely, reversely, is by saying it's not enough green. And sure enough, you can see that that is certainly not enough green. Okay, here's another print edition from June 28th, 2015. We can see this one is yellower, this one is bluer. Let's put a delta E number on here. This is slightly better in terms of delta E. Now it's 8.9. Now these two papers here are whiter shade paper. Now we have a more gray, brown, yellow newsprint color here. So if we put these in perspective, we can see this is yellower and this is bluer, but the paper here was whiter, maybe a high bright white paper, and the paper here is more like a normal groundwood newsprint. So let's just see what this is out of curiosity. I had a note here that this was 6/11/2015, and the delta E is still high, 8.8. And this one here, this is from June 18, 2015, and the delta E here is almost 9.5, but it's very, very dark, right? So there's our visual of those four, noting that these two are on white paper, these two are on newsprint, and you'll never find Tiffany blue in a Pantone book because it's private and unlisted. So based on an internet search, I think I came up with, they said was a closest match, Pantone 3262. Okay, interesting. So now what happened was I came across an ad that was not printed cold set, non-heat set, web offset lithography on a newspaper press, but it was printed on heat set web offset lithography because it's on gloss coated paper. So you can make a general rule of thumb here, and that is gloss coated papers are almost always heat set, and uncoated papers, plain papers, offset papers are almost always non-heat set or cold set, right? So we have a glossy paper here. Let's take a look at the Pantone book to this. Well, okay, we're starting to get maybe a little closer here. Let's just put these in the same field of vision. Okay, interesting. Let's put these to the side. And now that I have a reference for what it should look like on coated paper, we found the same ad printed on newsprint. And you can see how much dirtier and yellower this is. So this was Thursday, April 2nd of 2015. This is very blue. Let me put this to the side here. Very blue here, very purple here. All right. Here's another print from April 13th, 2015. So maybe I can do a split screen here, sort of like.